A beautiful message about you is finally coming forward. You were never supposed to find this message today. In fact, if you had waited just a little longer, you might have missed the moment when everything quietly began to change. There is something moving beneath the surface of your life right now, something that has been waiting for the perfect time to reveal itself. You may think nothing unusual is happening, but the silence around you has been hiding a conversation that does not belong to chance. Someone has finally found the courage to speak about you, and what they are saying carries more power than you can imagine. For a long time, you believed your story had been forgotten. You smiled when you had to, kept moving when your heart wanted to stop, and carried questions no one else could answer. There were nights when you wondered if your kindness had gone unnoticed, if your loyalty had mattered, or if your love had simply disappeared into the wind. Yet while you were asking those questions, something extraordinary was happening beyond your view. A beautiful message about you was slowly taking shape in places you could never have seen, and it was waiting for exactly the right moment to emerge. Sometimes the most important words are never spoken immediately. They are protected by fear, delayed by uncertainty, and hidden behind walls built from old pain. The person connected to this message wanted to speak long ago, but something inside them kept whispering that it was too late. They convinced themselves you had already moved on. They imagined you no longer cared. They buried their thoughts beneath everyday routines, hoping time would erase what they felt. But time has a strange way of preserving what truly matters, until one unexpected moment changes everything. It began with something so ordinary that almost anyone else would have ignored it. A familiar scent drifting through the air. A song playing in the background. A place they hadn't visited in years. Suddenly your memory returned with incredible clarity, not as regret, but as truth. Every smile you shared, every conversation, every quiet act of kindness came rushing back stronger than before. The emotions they had spent so long hiding refused to stay silent any longer. And that was only the beginning of what they would soon discover. You may have noticed subtle changes within yourself lately. Perhaps your heart feels lighter for reasons you cannot explain. Maybe you've been waking up with unexpected hope after months of uncertainty. Or maybe you've caught yourself smiling at the smallest things, as if your soul already knows something your mind has not yet realized. These quiet shifts are rarely random. Sometimes your spirit senses a new chapter before your eyes can see it. And the chapter now unfolding carries a message with your name written across every page. Though one piece is still missing, the beautiful truth is that people speak about you even when you are not there. They remember your compassion when someone else needs encouragement. They recall your strength when life becomes difficult. They describe your heart in ways you would never describe yourself. You have left impressions you never knew existed, touching lives without asking for recognition. While you worried that your presence had faded, your light continued reaching places you could not see. And someone recently heard those words about you, words that completely changed the way they viewed you. At first, they refused to believe it. They thought people were exaggerating. They assumed memory had softened reality. But then they started paying closer attention. They remembered the times you stayed when others walked away. They remembered the patience you showed when no one else understood. They remembered how you made people feel seen without expecting anything in return. Little by little, they realized they had overlooked the very qualities that made you unforgettable. That realization settled deeply into their heart, but it also awakened an unexpected fear. What if they had waited too long? What if the opportunity had already passed? What if someone else had recognized your worth before they finally opened their eyes? Those questions became impossible to ignore. Every day they delayed speaking felt heavier than the day before. Silence no longer felt safe. It became painful. The message growing inside them demanded to be shared, yet uncertainty continued standing in the way. And then life placed a sign directly in front of them that could not be dismissed. Signs rarely announce themselves with loud voices. They appear quietly, asking only to be noticed. A repeated number. An unexpected conversation. A dream that feels more real than waking life. A stranger saying exactly what your heart needed to hear. These moments seem small until they begin connecting like stars in the night sky. Suddenly a pattern appears where there once seemed to be randomness. The universe often whispers before it speaks loudly, and someone has finally started listening, though they still don't know where those whispers will lead. While all of this has been unfolding, you have been changing too. You are no longer the person who begged for answers or chased people who refused to see your value. Pain has refined you instead of destroying you. Disappointment has made your compassion deeper instead of colder. Every challenge has quietly strengthened the parts of you that once felt fragile. You may not recognize your own transformation yet, but others certainly do. Your energy has become calmer, wiser, and stronger, and that quiet strength is drawing unexpected attention. The message coming forward is not based on guilt. It is not built from loneliness or temporary emotion. It comes from clarity. Sometimes people need distance before they can recognize the blessing they almost lost. They have spent countless moments replaying your words, your laughter, your honesty, and your unwavering heart. Every memory has become another piece of a truth they can no longer ignore. They finally understand that what they admired most was never something you tried to prove. It was simply who you have always been, and admitting that truth changes everything. Still, not every battle has ended. Fear continues whispering that vulnerability invites rejection. Pride insists that silence is safer than honesty. Old wounds remind them of mistakes they cannot erase. Every step toward expressing this message feels like walking through a storm of emotions. Yet despite all those voices, another voice has become stronger. It is quieter, gentler, but impossible to silence. It keeps repeating the same simple truth: speak now, before another moment is lost. And that voice is becoming impossible to resist. Meanwhile, life keeps placing reminders in your path. Familiar names appear unexpectedly. Memories surface without warning. Opportunities begin opening where doors once remained closed. You may think these are unrelated moments, but they are threads weaving together into something much larger. Destiny rarely rushes. It patiently arranges every detail until even the smallest encounter carries extraordinary meaning. And somewhere within those carefully arranged moments, your story is preparing for a remarkable turn. There is something else you do not know. The message is no longer staying inside one heart. It has already begun moving through conversations you haven't heard. Someone has defended your name when you weren't present. Someone has spoken about your kindness with genuine admiration. Someone has described your strength in words that surprised everyone listening. Those beautiful words traveled farther than anyone expected, reaching ears they were never originally meant to reach. And one listener, in particular, could not stop thinking about what they had heard. That listener began questioning everything they once believed about you. Assumptions started falling apart. Old misunderstandings suddenly looked different. Moments they had dismissed became impossible to forget. Piece by piece, they realized the story they had been telling themselves was incomplete. There was another side they had never fully understood, and now they desperately wanted to discover the truth. But just as they prepared to take the first step, an unexpected obstacle appeared that threatened to delay everything once again. You may wonder why life allows these delays if something meaningful is truly meant to happen. The answer is rarely simple. Some truths require both hearts to become ready. Some conversations must wait until fear loses its grip. Some blessings arrive only after you have grown strong enough to receive them without losing yourself. The waiting has never been punishment. It has been preparation. Every silent day has been shaping a moment that could never have happened any sooner, and that moment is now closer than it has ever been. The most beautiful message about you is not merely that someone misses you. It is not simply that someone admires you. It is far deeper than either of those things. It is the realization that your presence has quietly changed lives in ways you never witnessed. Your patience inspired healing. Your compassion restored hope. Your resilience became proof that light can survive even the darkest seasons. You have been leaving blessings behind without ever realizing it. And now those blessings are beginning to find their way back to you, but there is one final truth that remains hidden beneath everything you've heard so far. The message that is coming forward does not end with words. It leads to a decision. A decision that could reshape relationships, reveal long-buried emotions, and uncover a connection that has been waiting beneath the surface all along. Someone is standing on the edge of a choice. The message that is making its way toward you did not begin yesterday. It has been forming for much longer than you realize. Every misunderstanding, every delay, every unanswered question added another layer to it. While you were searching for certainty, someone else was searching for courage. While you wondered if you had been forgotten, another heart quietly struggled with words that refused to stay hidden. Those words have become heavier with time, and now they are beginning to demand a voice. There is something remarkable about the way truth works. It can be delayed, but it cannot disappear. It can be buried beneath fear, but it continues to grow in silence. No matter how many excuses someone creates, genuine feelings eventually find a way to the surface. That is why this message feels different. It is not built on impulse or temporary emotion. It has survived doubt, distance, and hesitation. The longer it remained unspoken, the more powerful it became, until even silence could no longer contain it. You have probably questioned your own worth more times than anyone knows. There were nights when you replayed conversations, wondering if you had said the wrong thing. There were mornings when you smiled on the outside while carrying unanswered questions inside. You wondered if people truly saw the kindness you offered, the loyalty you gave, and the strength it took to keep moving forward. What you never realized was that someone noticed far more than they ever admitted, and that realization has changed everything. The most meaningful compliments are often the ones spoken when you are not in the room. They come from honest hearts with nothing to gain. Somewhere, your name has been mentioned with warmth instead of judgment, with admiration instead of doubt. Someone described your patience, your resilience, your ability to bring peace into difficult moments. They spoke about qualities you may overlook because they have become ordinary to you. But to someone else, those qualities became unforgettable, and that conversation is only the beginning. Life has a beautiful habit of revealing your value through unexpected people. Sometimes the ones you expect to appreciate you remain silent, while strangers recognize your light immediately. Sometimes those who once misunderstood you begin seeing you with completely different eyes. It is never because you became someone else. It is because truth arrives in its own season. And the season surrounding your life has quietly begun to change in ways you are only starting to feel. You have been growing without realizing it. Every disappointment taught you patience. Every setback strengthened your character. Every lonely chapter showed you how to stand without depending on constant approval. You thought you were simply surviving difficult moments, but you were actually becoming the person you were always meant to be. That quiet transformation did not go unnoticed. Someone has been watching from a distance, amazed by the strength you never claimed for yourself. There is a reason certain doors stayed closed. At the time, they felt like rejection. They felt unfair. They left you wondering why your efforts seemed invisible. But closed doors often protect unfinished stories. They keep you from entering rooms before your heart is prepared. Looking back, you may one day realize that every delay guided you towards something far more meaningful than what you originally wanted. And the message moving toward you carries that hidden lesson within it. Imagine a letter written months ago but never sent. Imagine words carefully chosen, then folded away because fear whispered that they would never be understood. Day after day, those words remain trapped between hope and hesitation. Yet every sunrise made them harder to ignore. Every passing week made silence feel heavier than honesty. Eventually, the heart holding that message reached a point where keeping it hidden became more painful than sharing it. That moment has finally arrived, though one question still remains unanswered. You have always believed that destiny announces itself with dramatic events, but sometimes it arrives through gentle moments instead. A simple text. An unexpected conversation. A familiar face appearing at exactly the right time. A sentence that changes everything without raising its voice. Miracles often enter quietly, allowing only those who are paying attention to recognize their significance. The signs have already begun surrounding you, even if you have not connected them yet. There is another truth you have not fully accepted. You have spent so much time hoping to be understood that you forgot how deeply you already impact the lives around you. People remember your kindness long after the conversation ends. They remember the encouragement you gave when they needed it most. They remember the way you listened without judgment, the way you stayed when others walked away. You may have forgotten those moments. But someone else never did, and those memories have become impossible to ignore. Hope is a strange thing. It disappears just long enough to make you think it is gone forever, only to return stronger than before. That is what is happening now. What once seemed impossible is quietly becoming possible. What once felt distant is moving closer. The energy around your story is changing, not because luck suddenly arrived, but because truth has finally become stronger than fear. Once that balance shifts, events begin unfolding faster than anyone expects. You might feel an unexplained calm before everything changes. That calm is not emptiness. It is preparation. Just as the sky becomes strangely still before the sunrise colors the horizon, your spirit often grows quiet before receiving something meaningful. The silence you have been experiencing is not the end of the story. It is the deep breath before the next chapter begins. And hidden within that chapter is a message carrying far more emotion than you could possibly imagine. Someone has replayed your words over and over in their mind. They have remembered your laughter during ordinary moments. They have wondered whether you truly knew how much your presence mattered. Regret has a powerful way of revealing what pride once concealed. Every memory has gently pulled them back toward a truth they tried to outrun. They finally understand that some people leave footprints on your heart that time simply cannot erase. The beautiful message approaching you is not only about love. It is about recognition. It is about someone finally seeing your value without the filters of fear, distraction, or misunderstanding. It is about the moment when hidden admiration becomes spoken truth. Whether it arrives through familiar lips or unexpected circumstances, it carries the same quiet promise. You were never as invisible as you believed. You were simply being seen by eyes that needed time to understand what they were truly looking at. Now the distance between silence and truth has become incredibly small. Every passing hour seems to carry an invisible sense of anticipation. Every ordinary moment feels as though it is standing on the edge of becoming extraordinary. You cannot see the entire picture yet, but your heart already senses that something meaningful is approaching. The timing feels too perfect to dismiss, yet too mysterious to fully explain, and then, just when you think you understand what this message is going to say, everything shifts once again. Because the words finally coming forward are not only meant to change how someone sees you, they are meant to change how you see yourself. The greatest revelation has never been hidden inside another person's heart. It has been waiting inside your own all along. And the instant those two truths finally meet, a door you believed was locked forever will begin to open, just as an unexpected voice prepares to speak your name. Before you do anything else, listen carefully. You didn't find these words by accident, and the timing is far too precise to ignore. Something has been moving quietly beneath the surface of your life, hidden behind ordinary days and unanswered questions. You have felt it in those strange moments when your heart suddenly became heavy for no reason, or when an unexpected feeling of hope appeared out of nowhere. Those moments were never random. They were gentle echoes of something making its way toward you. And now, after being delayed for far longer than you ever imagined, a beautiful message about you is finally beginning to rise into the light, but it isn't coming from where you think. For so long, you believed silence meant nothing was happening. Every unanswered text, every missed opportunity, every conversation that never took place seemed like proof that life had forgotten your story. You questioned your value. You questioned your purpose. You even questioned whether the kindness you carried inside your heart had ever truly mattered. But while you were measuring your life by what you could see, another story was unfolding where your eyes could never reach. A story that has been waiting for exactly this moment to reveal itself, and one unexpected person has been carrying a piece of it all along. You have underestimated the impact you leave on people. Not because you lack confidence, but because the deepest influence is rarely visible. You remember the words you wish you had said. You remember the mistakes you wish you could erase. Yet the people around you remember something completely different. They remember the comfort you gave without realizing it. They remember the encouragement you offered when they were ready to give up. They remember the way your presence made difficult days easier to survive. One of those memories has refused to disappear, and it has quietly grown stronger with every passing day, until it could no longer remain hidden. There is someone who has replayed a conversation with you more times than you could possibly imagine. It wasn't a perfect conversation. It wasn't dramatic. In fact, you may barely remember it. But for them, those simple words became an anchor during one of the darkest chapters of their life. While you walked away believing it was just another ordinary moment, they carried your kindness into nights filled with uncertainty. That single memory became a light they returned to again and again, and now they are finally ready to tell you what it truly meant. The universe has an unusual way of protecting beautiful truths until hearts are ready to receive them. Imagine opening a gift years before you understood its value. You might have overlooked it completely. That is why some messages arrive late. Not because they were forgotten, but because they needed time to become meaningful. The delay you have been frustrated by has never been empty. It has been quietly preparing both you and the person connected to this message for a meeting that will feel impossible to explain, unless you notice the signs already surrounding you. Have you noticed how certain names keep appearing lately? Maybe a familiar song suddenly plays when you least expect it. Maybe you keep looking at the clock at the exact same numbers. Maybe a place you haven't visited in years suddenly crosses your mind. These moments seem too small to matter, yet together they form a pattern that refuses to be ignored. Life often whispers before it speaks loudly. It offers symbols before it delivers answers. And those symbols have been pointing toward one truth that is finally ready to emerge. Though one final piece is still missing, you have spent so much time wondering whether you were enough. That question followed you through disappointments, broken expectations, and silent heartbreaks. It became a shadow that stood behind your smile, quietly asking whether anyone truly saw the real you. But the answer has been waiting in a place you never thought to look. The beautiful message coming toward you is not simply about what someone thinks of you. It is about revealing a version of yourself you have been too wounded to recognize, and that revelation changes everything. While you were focused on your struggles, your spirit was quietly transforming. Every setback taught you patience. Every goodbye strengthened your resilience. Every moment of loneliness forced you to discover parts of yourself that comfort could never reveal. You didn't become harder. You became deeper. Your heart learned compassion without losing hope. Your soul learned endurance without giving up its ability to love. Those invisible changes have created an energy that others can now feel, even if they cannot explain why, and someone has finally found the courage to speak because of it. The message itself has crossed many invisible roads before reaching you. Fear tried to silence it. Doubt tried to delay it. Pride nearly buried it forever. More than once, someone almost shared what they truly felt, only to retreat at the last second. They convinced themselves it was too late. They believed you had already moved on. They assumed the opportunity had passed forever. Yet every attempt to walk away only brought your memory back stronger than before. Some truths refuse to stay hidden because they carry a purpose greater than fear, and this truth has become impossible to ignore. There is something remarkable about being remembered for your heart instead of your accomplishments. Long after people forget your achievements, they remember how you made them feel. They remember whether you brought peace into chaos or hope into despair. Without realizing it, you became that memory for someone. They have carried your compassion through seasons when life offered very little light. They have silently thanked you without ever saying your name aloud. And now the gratitude they kept locked away is beginning to overflow, but another surprise is waiting just beyond it. Not every blessing arrives wrapped in certainty. Sometimes it comes disguised as confusion. Sometimes it arrives through unexpected detours that seem to make no sense. Looking back, you will eventually see that every delay redirected you toward this exact point. Every closed door protected you from entering the wrong chapter too soon. Every unanswered prayer quietly reshaped your path toward something far more meaningful than what you originally wanted. Yet the closer you move toward understanding this, the more life seems to test your patience one last time. You may feel as though nothing significant is happening today. The morning may look ordinary. The afternoon may pass without excitement. The evening may arrive as quietly as every other evening before it. But profound moments rarely announce themselves in advance. The greatest changes often begin in silence, hidden beneath routines that appear completely ordinary. Somewhere, someone is gathering the courage they have postponed for far too long. Somewhere, words that have remained trapped inside a heart are finally beginning to break free, and those words are moving closer to you with every passing hour. Still, the most important part of this journey is not the message itself. It is what the message awakens inside you. It reminds you that your existence has mattered in ways you never measured. It proves that your kindness survived places where your memory almost disappeared. It reveals that love leaves traces long after conversations end. And perhaps for the first time in a very long while, you begin to wonder whether your story has been far more meaningful than you ever allowed yourself to believe. But one final truth has yet to reveal its face: the person preparing to speak has no idea that you have been changing too. They remember the version of you from another season, another chapter. Another time when both of you were carrying burdens neither could explain. They do not yet know the wisdom you have gained or the peace you have fought to protect. They expect to meet someone familiar, but instead they are about to encounter someone transformed. That unexpected transformation may become the very thing that changes the direction of both your lives, if destiny allows the meeting to happen. As the distance between silence and truth grows smaller, something inside you begins to awaken. You stop chasing answers with desperation. You stop measuring your worth through other people's choices. Instead, you begin standing quietly in the confidence that whatever is meant for your life will find its way to you. That calmness becomes your greatest strength, because destiny often arrives when your heart finally learns to trust instead of fear. And just when everything seems ready to unfold, one unexpected detail changes the entire meaning of the story, because the beautiful message that has been making its way toward you was never written by only one heart. It has been carried through countless moments, unexpected encounters, forgotten memories, and invisible connections that have quietly shaped your journey from the very beginning. Someone is finally ready to speak, someone else is finally ready to listen, and you are standing at the center of a truth that has waited years to reveal itself. But just as the first words are about to be spoken, another voice, one you never expected to hear again, quietly says your name, and everything you believed was about to happen suddenly changes.